Hey, this is Meridith Elliott Powell, and welcome to A Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, give you everything you need to know to sell logically. I'm here with my co-host, Mark Hunter. Hey, Mark, welcome to today's Sales Logic podcast.
Hey, thank you. It is great to always be able to co-host this with you because it seems like we have some great conversations offline. But hey, we'll stay online. We'll stay focused today. How's that sound?
Yeah, because we've been talking about sales and business development. I'm going to give everybody a quick overview of how the show works. Basically, there's 4 parts to it. Every show, we've got a topic, a really relevant topic of what we're going to discuss. We have a question from you, the viewer. So if you have a question and want to send us a question, you can simply put a question on social media with hashtag SalesLogic or go to saleslogicpodcast.com. You can do that as well. We also feature a book, and most importantly, you walk away with a lightning round because we want to make sure that your time is worth the investment. And you're going to walk away with the strategies, the steps that you need to know to put today's topic into practice. So, Mark, I'll turn it over to you. What is on the agenda for today?
Well, it's very, very relevant, both the topic and the question. The topic we're going to be talking about, how do you salvage a bad year? Oh, no, let's not kid ourselves. 2020 has been absolutely fantastic, right? If you sell masks. Oh, man, let me tell you something. It's been a disaster for a lot of people. How do you salvage it? Well, that's going to be the topic. The question that we're going to get into. Here's the question. Let's jump into the question right now because it is relevant. And it came, the person does not want their name revealed. So we'll just say it was that listener. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Okay, that's what I added to it. Okay, here's the question. My year sucks, quote, unquote. That's what this person said. My year sucks, and 21 isn't looking any better. Should I be shifting my focus to next year in the hope of hoping it is better? Signed, desperation somewhere out in the sales world. Well, what do you think? Because I think there's more than a few salespeople struggling, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's more than a few people who've got that question on their mind. Well, let's start off by saying, should I just turn my attentions towards 2021? And I want to start by saying, don't give up yet. The year is not over. You've got 2.5 months left in 2020. And there's a lot that you can do to put things back on track. The other is, you don't want to just start turning your attention to 2021, because the moment that you do that, it's kind of like going on a diet and saying, I'll start tomorrow. And then you just eat too many calories for the rest of the evening. You need to, if you're going to turn things around, you need to start turning things around right now. So that's really your first step, is to decide, really just, forget about the past, let go of the fact that this hasn't been a great year. Let's start moving forward and get your mind right that you're going to begin salvaging the year. You're going to begin by starting with 2021 right now.
So are you saying to go ahead and chuck it for the fourth quarter?
No.
Okay, good. Okay, just want to clarify. I had a feeling you and I were in agreement on that one. Right. Because there is a lot whenever somebody shares with me this type of a challenge, I always go, let's go back to the first quarter of the year. The first quarter of the year for everybody started out really good. Yeah. And by the time we got to the end of March, it was like, whoa, what happened? And it changed quickly. The same thing can happen now. Don't think for a moment, because there are a tremendous number of industries out there that are doing well. There's a tremendous, and more importantly, with each passing day, yesterday I was on a couple flights, and it's amazing. The airlines are figuring it out. They're figuring it out how to make it happen. Are they still losing money? Yeah, they're still, but you know what? Each day companies are figuring out. Our job right now is to be helping people figure it out. And as we help others figure it out, I think we're going to help ourselves. So, I don't pack it. I'm almost telling people, hold off on building your 2021 plan as late in the year as possible, because we just don't know how the fourth quarter is going to even end up. So, don't get too far ahead of yourself.
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest challenges for our listener, though, is the fact that a bad year will just wear you out. And so I think that, you need to stop focusing on the result and start focusing on the behaviors. In other words, focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. I mean, Mark, you've made a really good point in the fact that we don't have a clue what's going to happen. We don't have a clue when business is really going to turn back on if you're in an industry that isn't doing, isn't doing well, and things can change on a dime. But if you do the right behaviors every single day, that is something you can control. So the first thing I would say after you get your head right around the fact that you're going to keep your foot on the gas and what you do in this fourth quarter matters for fourth quarter and it matters for 2021, I want you to really write out the behaviors that you need to be doing from a sales perspective. Look at your prospect list. Who do you need to be calling? How many calls are you making every single day? Who are you following up with? And how are you adding value in a way that's relevant? We think that that confidence and success and emotional fortitude come from achieving a goal. They don't. They come from progress. Progress makes you feel like you're in control, makes you feel like you're moving forward. And it's from progress that you're going to find your path to make 2021 a success. So go back to those sales behaviors you should be doing. Just forget about the result right now and focus on those behaviors.
I love that comment that you just made, because I always say success is not in the destination. Success is in the journey.
Yeah.
And if we want to frame up 21 to be good, we've got to start making those things happen right now. And in the words of Zig Ziglar, your altitude is a direct result of your attitude. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what, if your attitude isn't zeroed in, and I just got done with a coaching call. With a person who absolutely struggling with their business. And it seems like every time I have a coaching call with this person, it seems like we go back to square one. And it's like, please, people, do not pass go. Do not collect 200. Let's get going and keep going. But they keep coming back. What I want you to do is I want you to focus on what was the success that you did have. I don't care who you are. You've had success, and build and go forward. Don't drive the car through the rear view mirror. It just doesn't end up safely.
Yeah, a great point. I want a big shout out to Dr. Roy joining us from India. That's exciting. We are global with this podcast. But I want to add that first of all, we get it. We understand. It has been a tough year for so many people and for a lot of our clients. So, give yourself, the space to go ahead and pick yourself up, dust yourself off. But I think that Mark's making a really good point. We can't do anything about second and third quarter. Those are done. They're past. They're your history now. But you've got a lot of control of what's going to happen going forward. I find where sales professionals derail is the fact that we measure our success based on how much business we close. And while that is the ultimate goal, for right now, it's tough in an uncertain marketplace. It's tough in a hard market to really be able to control when business is going to close and what that business is going to look like. But if you could just go back and really think about the behaviors, you're headed into November and December, which are great holiday seasons. They're an unbelievable time to really be visible with your clients, to really set yourself up for the meetings that you need to be having in January. So get your plan in place for these last couple of months of the year. Focus on the behaviors, let go of the result, and you're going to put yourself in a position to really finish the year strong and start off 2021 even stronger.
And I think that sets us up well for the topic, how do I salvage a bad year? And as we jump into that, let me phrase it with one comment. The best day you'll ever have is today, because it's the only day you have an ability to control and impact. So with that, let's talk about how do I salvage a bad year?
Well, Well, I think that first of all, again, we need to be looking at fourth quarter as the quarter where you're going to keep your foot on the gas and you're really going to make some strong contacts. So I'm assuming that we mean by salvaging a bad year is the fact that the numbers have not been good, and we got to get a little revenue on the bottom line if we have any hope of even partially saving this year. So number one is go back to any prospects that you called on this year, any existing customers that you've got, and start there. Focus on some of your A clients, focus on some of your A prospects, and reach out and have the conversations with them about things that they're focused on to finish the year. You know, one of my favorite things about fourth quarter is that there's usually money left in the budget for a lot of organizations and a lot of leaders. And it's the sales professionals that are reaching out, that are calling now, that are scooping up that last little bit of money that's left in the budget. This just happened for me the other day. I called one of my longtime clients. We'd spoken in second quarter, but I hadn't touched base with her then. And I said, I'm just calling to check in. Where are you focused for the end of the year? What can I do? How can I help? How are we going to help you achieve your goals? And she said, I'm really glad you called. She said, I've got a really little bit of money left in the education budget, and I really think I need to put something together for my team in December. So boom. Now, did you notice how strong my question was? Hey, I'm just reaching out. Tell me where you're focused. I want to see how I can help. Help you achieve your goals. Typically not that strong with a B and a C prospect, but these are my A's and these are my best customers. They trust me. That relationship is there. So I can come in and I can be the resource and the authority, and that's going to get the deal to close faster.
See, there's a key point there. I had the similar situation. I had a customer in the first quarter that we're doing a tremendous amount of business with. And then let me tell you something, it fell off. It fell off the face of the earth for them because of the industry they happen to be in. And it's interesting, but I just reached out to them the other day. And you know what? Things have changed for them. Boom, we're back in the money. We're back doing business with them in the fourth quarter. It would have been very easy for me to sit there and say, their industry is still down. Their industry is still down, but they've been able to pivot. They've been able to run to some other things, and they're picking up business. This is the quarter. Fourth quarter is what I call the motivation quarter. If there's any quarter that is driven by your own motivation, it is the fourth quarter, because it's too easy to pack it in, especially here right now in 2020. Stay close in. This is the time when you're dealing with those people that are in your bubble, where you've got relationships with, you've got existing customers, you've got maybe past customers, you have got people. Focus in on them. And a technique that I love doing right now is you pick up the phone and you call every customer that you have, current or old, doesn't matter. You call them up and you say, hey, I just want to thank you for 2020. And they're probably going to go, what the heck? Where is that? But you're just thanking them because you know what? We're both still in business. We're still happening. And you know what's interesting? You're going to get into a conversation. And what you want to do is you want to begin saying, hey, so what do you see happening in 2021? What do you see? And it's amazing how what's going to happen is you're going to wind up having a strategic conversation. And just as you shared with your example, Meridith, that customer says, hey, I've got some money left in my education budget. Let's put something together. It is amazing the number of opportunities. But if you go into those phone calls and say, oh, this year sucks, you're not going to get a response. You go in as an optimist. Make those phone calls to your past, even customers that rejected you. Just pick up the phone, call them and say, hey, thank you. We have successfully navigated 2020. And you do it from an optimistic, and it's amazing what you're going to wind up with business not only in the fourth quarter, but you're going to seed the ground for a ton of opportunities in the first quarter. And you know what? The calls are actually fun to make. They're great to make.
Yeah, and they're fairly easy to make. Mark, you're bringing up a great point there, and a big shout out to Janice. Thanks for joining us. Use the telephone. Telephone's really important to use this time of year. You can get your energy, you can get your optimism. People can hear it in your voice. Here's another thing that I always use in the fourth quarter, and I just started implementing. But the calls that I make in late October and early November, I'm setting up strategy meetings with my customers in the month of December, saying, look, we're headed into holiday season. You've got year end. There's a lot you're working on, a lot you're planning on. We want to make sure that we start 2021 off strong. So why don't we take 30 minutes? We just talk about, tell me what your goals are, tell me what you're thinking. And we can talk about what we can do to really help you get to that next level, what we need to put in place so you start 2021 off strong. But a lot of people shy away in fourth quarter. Your competitors do, because we just assume that people are busy with holidays. We assume people are busy with year end. What Mark told you to do is to reach out and say thank you. That's one of my favorite Thanksgiving tactics, is to always use the Thanksgiving holiday. I use it internationally as well. I just say, I'm a U.S. citizen. We practice Thanksgiving here in the U.S. I like to spread it around the world. And I'm just calling to reach out and say thank you for being a customer. Also, as soon as we get back from the Thanksgiving holiday, I want to come in, set up a strategy session. I just want to make sure I'm on point, doing everything I can do to help you achieve your goals for next year. That fills out my calling for the 3 weeks in December that we're working, that make sure that I am staying on strong. I want to do that because it's a time when my competitors go away. And if I show up, I'm the one that's going to benefit. If you don't take anything else from today's podcast, take away the fact that fourth quarter is the most important quarter of the year. And if you stay in the game, you're not only going to finish the year strong, but you're going to outpace your competitors, because most of them will pull away.
See, that's what's so key, because what you're doing is you're setting up activity to make sure January starts strong. Too many salespeople pack it in, and then they spend the first few weeks of January just getting organized. And by that time, we're already, 4 or 5% into the year. You're off and running. It is amazing, because these tactics, these strategies that we're talking about allow you to be seen as a peer. They allow you to be seen as an expert. They shift your position totally away from being a salesperson. But let's jump in for just a second, because you might be listening and you might say, hey, Mark, I sell a commodity. I sell a commodity. How does that work? Here's a couple things that I tell people who are in a commodity business. Maybe it's a supply house, a distribution center, whatever it might be. What you want to do right now is you want to find out what are going to be your hours of operation over the holidays. Get that out on the table right now. Find out, because what you're going to find is that a lot of your competitors back off. They start shutting down. And you know what? If you're out there being aggressive and you're calling people, you're letting people know, here's what we're doing. It is amazing the amount of last minute emergency orders. Yeah. A number of years ago, I was managing a pipe, pump, and valve supply house. And our business was struggling. And we said, we're going to be open through the holidays. And we still took Christmas off and everything. I get that. But it was amazing. But we picked up more incremental business at full margin, at great margin, and then ultimately turned them into permanent customers because of the service we deliver. So if you're in a commodity business, this is the time for you to step up, and don't hesitate to reach out to your customers and say, hey, what are going to be your hours of operation? We want to make sure that our orders are normally coming through for you. What's happening? Have these proactive conversations. It's a way that you can be separate and apart and really be seen as, hey, you know what? She's the person, he's the person. Their company is the one we want to be buying from, not this other company out there.
Yeah. I also think that the most important thing that you can do to salvage a bad year is to make sure that you are never in this position again. And the strategies that we are talking about right now are the strategies that position you so that you are never in this, you're never here again. We're basically giving you ideas to fix a dry pipeline really fast. But ultimately what you want to do is never have a dry pipeline. Keep the deal flow, going. But Mark, we probably better flip over and start talking about the book that we are featuring this week.
Yes, the book is Sales Truth by Mike Weinberg. You and I have known Mike for a number of years. Great guy. Let me tell you something. Sales Truth. It is blunt. It is raw. And it's typical Mike Weinberg. I love this book. This is a great book to be reading over the holidays because it's gonna rattle and jar you as he calls out and he slams a number of those myths out there. He and I, when he was writing this book, we talked back and forth a lot. And I said, "You can't write about that. You can't write." He said, "Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah, I'm going to." "No, you can't write about that." And "Yeah, I'm going to. And I'm going to." And he did. And it really is. It is a terrific read. So pick up the book, Sales Truth by Mike Weinberg. Just a great guy.
He is a great guy. And it really is. It's a great book to feature on sales logic because it is a very logical approach to sales, because he not only slams the myths, but he gives you strategies and steps of the things that you really need to be doing to sell more effectively.
So maybe that means that we should let people know that we're working on a book. Well, we've talked about it, called Sales Logic, but we'll get to that later. We'll get to that some other time. Anyway, hey, we're moving fast through our time slot. Let's talk about the lightning round. What are some fourth quarter selling tips? Ready? Get set, go.
All right. Number one, you need a holiday strategy. You need to think about your customers and the holidays that are going to pop up in the fourth quarter and ask yourself how you can take advantage of those holidays to drop in, to make calls, to touch base, to do something to keep yourself visible.
I'm going to add to that. Find out what your hours of operation are. If you're shipping, if you're whatever, find out the hours of operation, including when is going to be the last date to receive an order, to ship an order, credit terms, et cetera, et cetera.
Number three, I want you to have a plan. You need a plan for the fourth quarter. Take an hour this afternoon and just make a list of the customers that you want to call on. Be choosy about who makes that list, because you want to save really the best customers and best prospects for the fourth quarter. Go back to the beginning of the year, look at who you've called on all year long, who you need to reach out and make touch on, and then mark down when you're going to call on them and what's going to be your reason for calling on them.
I'm going to add, make the sale simple. This is the time of year that you're selling simple solutions, simple outcomes. You're not selling the complex deal, because chances are they're going to say, "Hey, you know what? Let's talk about it after the first of the year."
Great. You need to be thinking about what problems and challenges your customers are facing as they come to the end of the year. I mean, one we mentioned is the fact that they might have some money left over in the budget. I was calling on a prospect earlier this week that they're really under the gun to get a couple of things accomplished as far as training and development, and they need to do it before the first of the year because they have a huge sales kickoff meeting at the beginning of the year. So what are the challenges that your customer base is facing, and how could you help solve those challenges?
Yeah. Don't allow people to sit there and say, "Oh, call me back after the first of the year." You want to encourage them, "Hey, you know what? After the first of the year, things are going to get busy. Let's have that conversation right now." Don't allow "call me back after the first of the year" to be an excuse.
Yeah, I would say that also I would set up those strategy sessions. I'd be looking to make December, before they even have the chance to say, "Call me back after the first of the year." Just say, "Hey, Mark, I'm calling to reach out. Let's have a conversation. I want to come in and do a quick strategy session with you. Just make sure that I'm working as hard as I can work for you to help you achieve your goals." Position it as a benefit and a value for them.
I'm going to add one. The week of Thanksgiving is an excellent week to be prospecting. Excellent week, because so many people are off. So many people have erratic schedules. It's amazing the telephone conversations that you'll be able to have the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah. If you're open to it, give your cell phone number out and let your customers know that you'll be available over the holiday season. You'd be surprised how few people ever call you. I learned this tip from a husband who's a dentist who gave absolutely every single patient he had his cell phone number, and rarely does anybody call. But the impact of it, of just knowing that we're headed into the holiday season and you could get a hold of your dentist if you ever had a problem, has been really powerful. And it's the same thing for our clients as well. It's a huge marketing boom that you don't really have to pay very many dividends on.
Right. We've been talking about how to close more sales right now, but don't forget, you also need to continue prospecting, because the last thing you want to do is wake up January 1 and have an empty pipeline. So you still must carve out time, 10% of your calendar, 15, whatever percent you need to, but to be prospecting, to be planting those seeds that are going to turn into crops you can harvest in the first quarter of next year.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that most importantly, and I'll end with this one, is keep your foot on the gas. Really make a schedule every single day. Mark, you and I were just talking about this the other day, of really devoting a lot of time in the next 2 months to even carving out more time on our calendars to be able to sell. This is, again, the best time of year because your competitors are pulling away. It is not a crowded sales space, and you want to stay on it, and you want to stay visible. So really creating that time, keep your foot on the gas and commit to it. Make it as important as anything else you're doing.
Fourth quarter is the motivation. Hopefully that's what we've given you. We've given you some strategies and ideas to help motivate you. But okay, we got to kind of wrap up the show. So let me kind of close out by saying thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show. It's how we grow to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
And remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Great selling.